Hi, I'm Britt.
And my name is Alissa.
And this is Skeletales.
And this is the podcast where we strive to answer the age-old question of, is my dead grandma watching me?
So, Alissa, I know we joke about this a lot, but I've had the craziest thing happening lately. I am finding ladybugs everywhere. And not just like living ones. I'm finding dead ones in my house. I'm finding them on my windows alive. I'm finding them on my body all of the time. I'm seeing them everywhere. Like, for example, day before yesterday, I am cleaning out a container to put some stuff in. Dead ladybug at the bottom of the container. And then I go outside and I'm watering the yard and a ladybug flies on me. And this is happening like almost daily, ladybug encounters. They're flying on me. I don't understand. But I'm not sure. Could be dead grandma. But that's a lot of ladybugs. Is this like a paranormal thing happening to me? Or is this, am I giving off like a scent? But I have right now 6 ladybug carcasses on my desk right now because at the point I've already thrown away several, but at this point I'm like, I think I have to collect these because there's so many.
Okay. No, I don't think it's paranormal. But if it is, dead ladybugs doesn't seem like a good sign. Like the live ones maybe, but just dead ladybugs all over the place. 2, I like how you thought it was your smell, like something about you. You're giving off like ladybug, ladyman pheromones. Wait, man bug pheromones? I don't know. Like that they're just
I bring all the ladies. That's right.
The ladybugs. I hope it's that. That's
so I just searched up the meaning because I should have done this beforehand, but I just did it while I was talking. Ladybug meanings and symbolism include protection, healing, good fortune, and grace.
Oh my goodness. What about dead ladybugs? All the opposite. Pain.
Oh, fuck.
What's the opposite of grace? Clumsiness.
Clumsiness. Bad fortune. Oh, damn. I'm screwed. Well, it's half and half. Half dead,
okay,
half alive.
Yeah. A little bit that yin and the yang of it.
It's bananas, though.
Well, I've heard of people like ladybugs, and they might not be true ladybugs. There's some like beetle that people get as natural pest control or whatever and release in their yards. Like ladybug infestations are a
they
thing.
do eat aphids. It's true. Ladybugs love aphids. Yeah. Maybe I have aphids.
And people have them like coming, like getting ladybugs in your house. Like they will like infest a house and they'll like come up through the like the window sills and they're everywhere. So this is not unheard of. This just might be a problem that you're looking at as a
But it's not just at my house. Like got groceries earlier this week and was unloading at the grocery store and a ladybug flies on my foot.
Okay.
Not at my house. Like they're everywhere.
Let's see. Let's back up. Big picture. I got a robin flying at me. You've got ladybugs. We're like just attracting the natural world. We must just be putting out those vibes or those pheromones, something that Mother Nature is like, attack.
When we had the interview with, I think I used the pseudonym Sarah, her grandmother had said that creatures that fly, birds, butterflies, dragonflies are all spiritual and can host souls and spirits. So it very well could be my grandma.
Well, I'm going to punch my grandma in the face, right in the beak, if I have an opportunity.
She's that robin. You're so pissed at that robin.
I'm still you hear my voice, like I made that video, it's on our Instagram, and I like it wakes me up. I couldn't even it wakes me up now. Maybe it's Mitch sending him. It's like Mitch's like spirit animal who's like stop sleeping.
He's calling out, wake her up.
Yeah, Mitch has no tolerance for anyone sleeping past like 6 a.m. in our house.
I could not do that.
Okay. Hey, Britt, do we just talk about ladybugs and birds and curses on this podcast?
Only about half of the time. What do we talk about?
We tell true tales of the strange, unusual, and paranormal.
Da, 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 da.
What are we talking about today, Britt?
I have some Good old spooky dookies.
All right. I've got a couple stories that are going to make you so mad. So I'm not even going to tell you what they're about.
Oh, no. Am I ready to be mad? Where are my ladybugs? All right, ladybug carcasses. Come near me for some good fortune and grace for this.
You could make those into little taxidermies, right? You start making them into cards and letters. Yeah.
Glue them onto some leaves and make a terrarium or something.
3D stickers. Just starts.
Ew. Such disappointed customers.
Okay, so I wanted to segue, but I like to get that intro in because we're just going to forget it if I didn't say that then. But I need to tell you what happened last week. And it doesn't really have to do with the bird, but it all seems very bizarre and connected because on last week's episode, I mentioned how I had this bird trying to get into my house. I had this fucking cat trying to get into my house. Remember the cat too?
Yeah.
So because we kidnapped our cat, that other neighbor's cat, for like 6 months, I was like, we need to take care of this cat problem now. I'm not going to have this cat hanging around for another 6 months and then the kids grow attached to it and stuff. And the cat looks like it has been in a wood chipper, possibly. It like went through a wood chipper on its way to our house.
Oh,
it has lived,
dude.
Yeah, a rough life. And so I'm like gonna nip this in the bud. We are taking this cat right to some pound. Trying to get this cat out the door. It's a half-hour drive. Walk inside. Milo drops a fucking glass from like on top of the counter. It shatters everywhere. I'm cleaning that up. In the meantime, as I'm cleaning that up, he goes and pours a glass of the juice he wanted, spills that all over, falls all over the counter and floor. I'm like, fuck, it's cleaning up that mess. I'm like, I gotta leave. So then I'm finally like got my shoes on. I'm ready to leave. Mitch pulls in the driveway, blocks my car, and I'm like, no, I'm taking the damn cat. Move. So then I get my shoes on, open the garage door, and Milo's like, oh, I was giving the cat his bowl of water and he got out. So he's trying to put a whole bowl of like open water in this cat carrier. I was like, dude, first of all,
Milo does not want that cat to go.
Oh my God. So, well, he was trying to be nice, but I was like, Milo, you are making me insane right now. Like, I'm trying to leave. And you already saw how hard it was to get this cat in the cat carrier and whatever. So I was like, okay, let's get this cat back in the cat carrier. Mitch picks up the cat, and the cat was very nice until like you want to get in the carrier. And it starts growling. And it's like growling. So the cat bites Mitch. Mitch pulls his hand out. It's like covered in cat slobber. And I was like, dude, what the fuck?
This mangy cat has some kind of disease, which Mitch now has.
Oh my God. Long story short, get him into the cat carrier. I take him to the place. Okay, he's out of our lives. I do have to check a box now that says he bit somebody, but I was like, he's not like an aggressive, like, did I like sign his death warrant here? I'm like, he's not like, it was provoked. It was definitely a provoked bite. It wasn't like he attacked him.
So why didn't you just keep him? All right. Okay. Finish your story.
Because dude, that cat did not look healthy. And so the wood chipper, remember, he's been through a wood chipper. Okay. So fast forward Friday morning at like 4:30 a.m. I hear Mitch like come back to bed, and then the bed like shake every few minutes, like a couple minutes, like shake.
No.
Because Mitch now has the chills and a fever. Okay, so Mitch gets up, he gets a fever and chills, and I was like, are you okay? He's like, I don't feel good at all. So I give him some Tylenol, I take his temperature, he definitely has a fever. And then Mitch goes to work. He gets up, I guess he feels a little better with the Tylenol, goes to work. Work takes one look at him and is like, hell no, man, you need to go home. And to the point he's like all kind of dizzy and like slurring his words. And he sent me a picture of him and his face is all puffy. His eyes are all puffy. So he gets an escort home. He gets an escort home from work because they don't think he's going to make it on his own. They're like worried about him. And by this time, he's got like a raging headache. His face is all puffy. He's like shivering, like
he's
shaking.
He's like about to die.
Dude, so bad. And I'm like, you need to go to that. Like, we need to go to the hospital. We go to the hospital. And turns out Mitch got sepsis from this fucking crazy cat bite. The cat now, guess where the cat is, Britt?
Dead.
No, it's not dead.
Oh.
But it's in rabies quarantine because they have to monitor it for rabies now because it did bite a human being. And so it has to be in quarantine for 10 days to see if rabies develops. And then if it does, then Mitch has to get rabies shots. And
oh my gosh.
He got oh my God, he got IV antibiotics. Like they were rushing around. Like they were like serious about what was going on with him. Yeah.
Thank God for modern medicine, because that fucking cat bite in the 1800s, you would have a dead husband.
Totally, man.
Not alive from a cat bite.
Oh, yeah.
That's bananas. Moral of the story, you should have kept the cat.
He shouldn't be so mean to cats.
Ooh, that's a dramatic weekend, Alissa.
I know, but what was that omen? So did the bird bring it? And when is this fucking bird going to go away? Because I feel like it's bad luck.
Bad juju for sure.
Because he's still around. But then he's trying to look for a mate, and maybe he's just like all the birds think he's a fucking dumbass because he just keeps running to windows. He's never going to find a mate this way.
And it's not even that your window is. I was going to suggest we'll just like make your window less reflective and real dirty, but it's already super dirty from its like robin spit, right?
Yes. Yeah, maybe I just have to let him spit all over all the windows.
You just
until
can't
he can't
even see out your
reflection.
window.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm ready to get him on like Tinder and set him up with another Robin. Make him a little Tinder profile.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, you've got some animal drama for sure, girl.
I did see some crows doing it on the side of the road the other day too. That's nothing
well, you and crows, they're your witchy animal.
Well, I'm really second guessing this whole crow desire now after this whole Robin,
you're done with birds
situation. I don't know.
Yeah.
The Robin is. I just thought they were smarter than this. I'm always like, birds are so smart. This fucker is not smart. He is so dumb. Anyway, so yeah, that's what. And I remember talking last week about like the omen or what does it mean or something like, ooh, like this is spooky. Or you said I was cursed. You said that sounds like a curse.
I did. But then I also was like, well, open your windows and be Cinderella. So
yes.
I'm thinking less Cinderella now, more
Cursorella. Okay, well, we'll see how this whole ladybug situation turns out for you.
Oh, no.
Let me know. But yeah, the rabies thing, I was like, I cannot believe.
Like, he very well may have to get a rabies shot.
Yeah. Those are like $10,000 though. If they don't, if insurance doesn't approve it and it's not warranted, they're stupid expensive. They're very, very expensive.
For real?
Uh-huh.
Here's my secret. Shh. Go to the vet. They just give that stuff out like candy. Every dog's getting one. Just beep, beep, beep.
That's true. What? I think that it's like too late for the vaccine at that point. You need like the immunoglobulin or some shit. Oh. You got like, there's the vaccines are fairly reasonable. Yeah, maybe you can get them at your local vet. But there's then something that they actually have to give you. Like
when you actually have the rabies.
Yeah, like that freaking fox in DC that I put on the page that probably got bit by. What did it get bit by, Britt? How did it get the rabies, Britt?
Cat.
Oh, fuck off.
Wild cat.
Probably a bat. A bat.
It's notorious that foxes hate bats.
They're mortal enemies, and the bat bites them, gives them the fucking rabies. They then bite a congressman or some shit. Like, it's a big conspiracy to take down the government.
Vampires everywhere.
Yes, the bats. Oh Lord. God. So yeah,
it's
super bizarre sequence of events. And moral of the story is like cat bites, man. If you get bit by a cat, especially a stray, you need antibiotics right away. Even if you think it's going to pass, you need to go get on those antibiotics because then you can get sepsis. And sepsis is nothing to fuck with. Like if we had waited another day,
people die.
Yeah, people die. They lose like limbs and shit from it. So he is much better now. He's feeling much better. But yeah, it was a rough weekend. Anyway,
ooh, Mitchell.
All right. So do you have a story, Britt?
Wait, we got a podcast?
We have a podcast? I know.
Tell stories. No, that's...
I really wandered there. So do you have
that counts as a strange and unusual story?
That is a strange and unusual possible curse.
Absolutely. My stories, I am still harvesting from next door. So these next stories, Mandy wrote in, she messaged me, and she just told me all of the crazy things that have happened to her, which I am all about. Mandy is from Round Rock, Texas, which is right up the road. Anybody who is in Texas might be familiar with it. So I'm just going to dive in and read what she wrote me. Is that okay?
Yeah. Yeah, I'd love to.
All right. When my grandsons were little, I would sometimes go into the kitchen where they were and catch them talking to someone who wasn't there. So these first few stories are from her current house that clearly has some activity happening. She says, one night I was woken by 3 loud knocks on our bedroom door. I quickly woke my husband. It was about 3 a.m. Then we heard 3 more knocks. I said, "Who is it?" And no one answered. My husband got up to look under the door. No lights were on. The next morning, I asked my children if anyone had knocked on our door, and none of them had. My granddaughter claimed that one night she was sleeping on the couch and she felt someone pull the covers several times off her during the night. I purchased a red beach ball for my grandson, who was about 3 years old at the time. We were in my bedroom and I decided to put 2 big googly eyes on it. After they were on, I turned the ball to my grandson and asked, "What do you think?" A young male voice announces behind me, "Looks good." I stand frozen, looking at my grandson to see if he heard it too. He just stood there looking at the beach ball. It was just the 2 of us in the house. I certainly got goosebumps. This one's my favorite. I came home for lunch and put my phone on the charger. I grabbed my lunch and went to the dining room to eat. As I'm eating, I look up in the mirror that is facing the living room. I saw a young teenage boy standing there looking down at my cell phone. I could see that he was in a light blue sports shirt and shorts. I put my sandwich down, look up, and he was gone. I did the sign of the cross, walked across the living room, and no one was there. I wasn't scared, but I felt the hair on my arms go up. What's interesting, though, she told me where she lives, and it's in a new build house. So no one's lived in it before, but it is in an area of Round Rock that it's near a place called Old Settlers Park. So like previously there had been like old settlers on that particular land. So I am curious.
But didn't she say that he was in some sort of sports shirt? Like that?
Yeah, it would have been a modern day like spirit. And my guess too is the beach ball voice looks good. It's got to be the same like
guy.
Young man, right? But I mean, now we know that like if somebody dies, say down the road or in a different place, it doesn't mean that they are stuck in that place. So like He very well could have like died elsewhere and to just come to her house. But I love the idea that he's looking at her cell phone. Like,
what is this? Checking up on his TikTok, his Facebook tribute page.
Oh,
I think someone. I heard something about someone who was like in a almost died. Maybe they had sepsis. It was something like that. They were in a coma, and everyone had gotten word that they died, and so then all the Facebook like tributes started pouring out. People started telling stories, but then the person actually didn't die. They recovered. And then they were like able to look pretty much at their like obituary and like all the things that people said about them. And it was like really fucking weird and surreal. Like, right. Like
I love that. Yeah. I kind of would want that too. Just, I mean, no, I wouldn't want to almost die, but it is curious to be like, who's really mourning my death?
Yeah,
right now? Like,
right. Or I think it was also people, they're like, oh, I thought they hated me. Or like, it was like some of those where I didn't even know this person that well. Like, it, and then they poured out this thing, or it was kind of the impact that they had on people and not really appreciating it while they were alive, even though they were still alive. But like, yeah.
That's pretty hilarious.
So I would be curious too as a ghost. Maybe I would log on in if I could and go see my Facebook page and see what everyone's saying.
You know what? Hell yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like after I die, I want to linger around for a while, hang out with people, haunt you for a little bit, check, somebody's cell phone. And then after I'm like, okay, cool, I did all my stuff, errands, beep, beep, beep. Then, go off to the afterworld.
Shit, what was the sign? What was the sign you were going to give me that you're haunting me?
Bangs.
Oh, you're giving me bangs too. We're both giving bangs.
Or you...
Okay, I think that's very solid.
That was you, huh?
That's okay.
Let's just both do it.
I think that's a very good sign. I don't think that could be confused easily by anything. If we wake up with bangs in the morning, we know.
Solid. Yeah. Solid. Yeah. Oh, man. Okay, so those were all her haunted house stories, but she did give me a couple more stories. Do I have time to read?
The last thing I was going to say about that, didn't Round Rock just have a tornado? Possibly the spirit got swept up in a different part of the state and got in the twister like freaking Dorothy and then deposited over there.
Well, these stories, I would believe that if these stories came in after the tornado, but she told these before the tornado.
Maybe tornadoes are just ghosts.
But I might need to follow up with her and be like, did the tornado sweep your ghost away? I don't know. Maybe.
Okay.
Can tornadoes do that?
Are they are they just fighting ghosts? Is that what tornadoes are? Just in like a whirlwind.
Tasmanian devil style.
Exactly.
I love it. All right. When I was a young kid, my siblings and I were playing in the backyard one afternoon. An acquaintance of my dad, we'll call him Fred, stopped by looking for our dad. We told him he wasn't home, but that he'd be back later. That evening, we told our dad that Fred had stopped by. He looked at us strangely and said, "That's not possible. I heard in town that Fred died this morning." He remembered later that Fred was indeed meant to stop by the house that day to pay him some money that he was owed.
Oh.
So Fred owes the dad some money, dies that morning, but wants to make good on this money he owes him and stops by the house on the planned date, even though he's dead.
He doesn't have any money, though. They didn't leave the money behind.
Did not leave the money behind. Just needed to let the dad know that he stopped by, I guess.
Maybe he didn't realize he was dead, right? He just continued on with his plans for the day.
Yeah, his errands, yeah.
Like he just got knocked out of his body and
it just kept going.
Yeah, it just kept going. Ooh, I love those stories where they couldn't have shown up. That's one of my favorite. I don't know what those are called, but
oh man, Mandy brings it. All right, I got another one here. Back in the late 80s, my husband and I were driving on a country back road. It was Christmas Eve, about 1:30 a.m. There were no cars on the road, not behind us or in front of us. It was a very dark night, no moon, just pitch black. As we're driving, our car all of a sudden dies, and we slowly roll to the side of the road. Not even a second later, a truck appears out of nowhere in front of us with the lights on. 2 men get out of the truck. My husband grabs my hand and says, "Lock the car," as he gets out. They help him jump the car with their cables. It takes no longer than 5 minutes. My husband gets back in the car. We both look behind us to make sure it's clear to pull forward. Then we look forward again, and the truck is gone. We made the sign of the cross and made it safely to our destination. We say that they were our guardian angels. I had forgotten about it until I heard your podcast today. So she's been listening, and it's inspiring her she's remembering some stories. All right, I got one last one from Mandy, and then I'll let you tell your stories. I know sometimes I hog stories.
That's okay. That's okay. You're going to hate my story, so.
I know.
That's why you keep stacking
as much as
stories on your end.
I've got a full hour of stories. No time for yours. Sorry, bye. Years ago, I had an aunt who passed away. She had small children at the time, and her husband worked as a farmer in the fields. He would come inside after a long day of work to discover dinner already prepared on the table and his children already fed. He asked his kids who had come by and done this. They would tell him that it was their mother. He looked all around the kitchen, and everything was exactly as she left it. He looked in the trash, and the paper from the meat was nicely folded in the trash, just like his wife would do. This went on for about a week. He ended up visiting the local priest and told him what was happening at his home. The priest visited the home and waited for her to appear, and she did. He tells her that she could leave now and that her children would be fine. And after that, she no longer appeared.
Oh.
This is maybe one of the first priest stories where he actually did some like priestly work and got rid of the spirit.
And showed up.
Even though she was a very productive spirit and probably could have been fine left alone.
Yeah, but maybe she just wants to rest, you know?
Well, that's true. She's just still caretaking.
Yeah,
still
exactly.
feeding
Folding up those meat papers to put in the trash.
I know.
I'm glad that she showed up. Like, how does that priest make that happen? Just show up and... Whoop.
I know. And it made me... I have a lot of questions about this story. Like, I think if the tables were turned and it was my spouse and they were showing up cooking dinner, I would be like, screw the fields. I'm going to stay and like wait for dinner time to come and confront my spouse.
Yeah.
But he didn't. He just sent the priest instead. So I don't know. Lots of questions.
Maybe he just wanted her to be able to finally rest.
Yeah. That's
otherwise, I don't know. I've said many times, any house cleaning ghosts, anyone who really loves to clean.
Right? She sounds really
afterlife. You are welcome into this home. That's it. Please.
You haunt that kitchen. Dinner's at 6. Also, I wonder what a ghost meal tastes like. I mean, it probably tasted like her same, but like, what if it's like, well, it's a little salty now that you're dead.
Oh, I see. I think it would be really bland. I don't know. Right? Like, I feel like it would, yeah, I don't know. I don't feel like it could have flavor if it's coming from the
unseasoned mashed potatoes or something.
Yeah, like just boiled potatoes. Paper. I don't know. I just, like, it doesn't seem like it could be very tasty. Maybe prove me wrong. Ghosts. Please prove me wrong.
I like brownies. Try that.
I do
ghost.
like brownies. Okay.
Yeah.
Are you ready for my story?
I guess I am.
Okay.
Fine. I'll stop prolonging and distracting you.
So, my story comes from an anonymous friend of the podcast. They asked that I keep the name anonymous, but you might be able to figure it out. But that's not the point. Maybe I shouldn't say that.
I'm so ready.
And it's about their mom. It's a story about their mom.
Okay.
And they say, this happened at my grandparents' old home. My mom was a kid, about 10, I think. It was warm, probably summer, and she was an avid reader and liked to spend time sitting on top of the chicken coop out in the field reading.
I love that.
As she was reading her book, she looked up to see a huge craft above the trees coming across the sky. She described it to me as having colored lights along the rim. It was a big and typical saucer-shaped UFO. She was frightened and started running back to the house, which was about 100 yards or so away. Another time, she was sent by my grandmother to go get my grandfather down the street at the neighbor's. As she came around the corner to my neighbor's house, she found my grandfather and his buddy staring at the sky and saw the same object she had seen before. So she didn't tell me about this growing up, but one night I came home and she was watching an alien abduction show on TV and bawling her eyes out. And I was like, are you okay? And that's when she told him about this experience. He says that she's like definitely on the kooky end in general, but when it comes to this, like he's like never seen her more serious about something. And she gets real serious and like real pale and real freaked out anytime she talks about it.
Few questions.
Okay.
Do you know where this happened?
This happened in Massachusetts. It was a town over from a town called Ashburnham.
Okay.
It was near Ashburnham, Massachusetts, right around 1967. And she was about 10. So
interesting. Did you research at all to see if there were any other sightings in Massachusetts?
I did.
Oh, you did? Okay. Even though I hate UFO stories, I also kind of love them too. So
okay, yeah, because you're not the biggest fan of UFOs.
I am not, but now I feel on the edge of my seat. Like, I really do want to know.
Why would someone be crying at a UFO abduction show? Like, that's like...
But surely she has seen other things on television that are UFO related. Like, she's a grown-ass woman. That can't be the first UFO thing she's seen on television, right?
Right, but maybe she didn't watch them with her kids or something, or she just watched them in secret.
Or she just chose not to watch them or something.
Yeah, actually, that comes up. Okay, so...
Okay.
He says, so here's the really weird part. In the next town over, in Ashburnham, there was a rather famous abduction case reported right around the same time my mom saw this. And her name was Betty Andreasson. And that happened in 1967, right around the same time. So I look up Betty Andreasson. What is this? Ooh. What happened here? So the story of Betty Andreasson is very famous. There's like a novel written about it, the Andreasson affair. So in 1967, Betty Andreasson in Ashburnham, Massachusetts, was at her house with her 7 children, and then her mother and father were also visiting. And so they were inside, and I think the father notices some pink lights outside of the home. And he looks out the window and sees that there are several little creatures, little aliens that apparently like hop towards the house. They're not running. No, they're not like floating. That. They're like hopping like bunnies towards the house. So it looked like someone was dressed up as a creature, apparently, according to them.
Okay.
So they actually come into the house and they place everyone in the house under a state of paralysis. And so Betty is like extremely scared, and then they unfreeze her daughter. So everyone's frozen. They unfreeze one of her daughters, and her daughter's able to say, "Mom, it's going to be okay." Like, it was their sign of like letting them know that they didn't mean harm. Oh, did I mention they're communicating telepathically as well. They don't actually speak from their little faces. They have their gray beings, and they communicate telepathically.
Oh, wait. So they look like aliens, but small and hopping.
Yeah, they're small hopping aliens, basically. Okay. Hopping aliens who speak telepathically. I think in like one version of the story, they're wearing boots, like heavy boots, like somewhat maybe gravity boots or something. There are a couple of like one version of it. She says that they have black eyes, and others she says they have white eyes with black pupils. But human memories are notoriously flawed and inconsistent. Mm-hmm. So they come in, they freeze everybody. They're all like terrified. Everyone's frozen. I want to say except for Betty. And then they unfreeze the daughter. The daughter's like, "It's going to be fine, Mom." And then the aliens are like, "You're coming with me, Betty." So they take Betty. Everyone else at her house is frozen still. And they leave behind some aliens there to keep everyone frozen, apparently, one of these crafts. And so she gets in this craft, and they go up to a mothership. And on the mothership, they run a bunch of tests, and they probe her, as aliens do, apparently. And then they take a needle and they remove a small object from her nose. It was a tracking device, which apparently had been placed like in the 1950s or something. So then she had a visionary experience of traveling into a world where she met a being whom she, as a Christian, thought was a god. And the voice told her that she was the chosen one. And in another version, like, she says that this being said that they worshiped Jesus Christ, which I don't know. I'm just repeating. Britt is looking at some healthy skepticism here. So the events aboard the ship closed in a final lecture by an entity earlier identified as Quasga. I don't know, Quasga is what I'm going with. And so he told her that she would forget everything that has happened, but that he loves humans and that humans need to study nature in order to rid themselves of their self-destructive tendencies, and that they left her a book, which she examined for several days. But I couldn't find anything else on this book afterwards. I was like, I really want to know what that book is about. So anyway, so she's returned to her house. Her daughter, Becky, and her, Betty, both remember things, but they don't remember everything. They remember some things. And eventually her father also remembers like bits of the experience. And so then there's like this whole big investigation. UFOs really start like hopping. And she writes into this one famous UFO guy. He's like, no, I don't believe any of this. Anyway, in the 80s, I think people started to really like look more into it. And there was this group who stumbled upon Betty's story, and they came up with money to put her under hypnotic regression so she could remember her experiences. And so she remembers now that she'd been abducted several times, going back to her childhood, like once in the 40s. I think she was born in like 37 or something like that. And that she had been abducted, and that she was a chosen one, and she's supposed to like, spread this word of aliens wanting us to study nature, apparently. I don't know if she was really great at that or not. Oh yeah, because she like starts having flashbacks to the experience too. Then she ends up marrying a guy named Bob Luca, who also claims to be abducted by a UFO. And then the hypnotist, Fowler is his name, who is doing the regression, thinks, you know what? I think I might have been abducted by UFOs as well.
Convenient. Cool. Yep.
So
seems legit.
So there's this whole story about Betty, a town over from where this mother of our friend of the podcast lives. And so I was like, dude, did you tell your mom about Betty? And he told his mom about it. And he's like, yeah. And I was like, well, what'd she do? And he's like, she really didn't react. Like, I thought that she would have, because she didn't know about it. She was not aware at the time that there was this like famous UFO case, or even
happened the same exact time.
Yeah, because she didn't talk about it too, right? She just didn't speak about it. And he's like, yeah, there was not some mind-blowing revelation like, oh my God, I can't believe this happened too. This like proves it. It was more like she'd convinced herself that maybe she was crazy or it didn't happen to her. And then to hear that it happened, like her brain kind of just dismissed it.
Or maybe she's been brainwashed. Maybe the mom has been abducted and is like, you will not tell anybody.
Ooh, maybe. I don't know. But apparently there have been like a whole bunch of UFO sightings in Massachusetts and whatnot. But that was the most famous one. But yeah, he says that he is convinced. I mean, when someone is so damn serious about it, right? Like their experience when they're kind of kooky, and then they just get like, you can tell that someone knows what they saw.
They're not just pulling your leg.
Yeah.
And like spinning you a tail. Like,
yeah.
And that if it actually happened as a 10-year-old, like that is pretty scary.
I'd be scared.
And then having it come back what did she say, the following day or something with her dad and brother?
Yeah, or a little bit later. Yeah, her dad and a neighbor, they were looking at the same thing. So it was the town over.
Did they remember seeing it? I feel like
I don't know.
That would corroborate her story.
Do you really say corroborate all the time, or is that just
corroborate?
Corroborate.
Corroborate.
You are saying corroborate.
Corroborate. No shit. What do I say? Say it again.
I think you said corroborate. Corroborate. Is that what you say?
Corroborate. Well, shit, I don't even know what I say anymore.
I think
corroborate. Is that right?
Corroborate. Yeah.
Maybe I do throw a W in there.
I kind of think you do.
I blame Texas.
Corroborate. And then it reminds me of like the Princess Bride. We are gathered here together. So yeah.
I have two comments to make. One, if aliens exist, they are really bad at playing dress up. Because the idea of little tiny rabbit-like hopping aliens dressed up in Halloween costumes is hilarious. And also people think like, oh, Hat Man's an alien. And they're like, oh, let's get a coat and a briefcase and a hat. And like,
this tracks.
Yeah, they're just really, really bad at playing dress up.
I don't think they were trying to play dress up. I think they saw aliens and were like, are these kids dressed up?
To wrap their head around it.
Yes. They thought they were like hot trick-or-treaters or something, but it was January. Like they couldn't make sense of it. And then they came in their house and then everyone froze.
Gotcha. Do you remember, and this story got cut from our UFO episode, but you told the story of a alien spaceship that, and we'll probably put this online somewhere in the future, spaceship drops into a school.
Yes.
And several of the children encounter the creatures. But do you remember what the creatures told the children?
That they need to save the planet and they need to save the earth. This is the theme, is that humanity needs to be nicer to the earth.
Yeah.
I know.
Have we listened? No. I think the aliens are talking to the wrong people.
Well, they thought
young children and housewives.
Well, they were trying to change it for, right. But, well, they probably have tried the politicians, but the politicians are all like,
yeah, screw them.
Yeah. So they had to go around to the children because they're like, we'll make an impact early and then they'll grow up and they will change the world. But no one believed them and everyone ridiculed. So I can't blame Anonymous's mom for not saying anything. Like her reactions kind of seem like someone who is like, I don't want to look like the crazy one and I'm not going to really talk about this anymore.
That's wild.
And I mean, now with the UAPs and UFOs in the news and stuff, like, I think it kind of does. You got to look at some of these tales with a different lens.
Also, if aliens are telepathic and they're getting in your brain, like, and able to wipe memories and all of that too, like, who's to say the memories are true and real?
Right? Oh, good point.
Maybe they're just putting in your brain what they want you to remember.
Oh my God. So yeah, that's my story from the anonymous friend of the podcast.
You know what? I'm not angry. I like it.
Okay.
What I like about it, it makes me think. Yeah. It makes me think of the possibilities of how wrong Betty was. Friend's mom, possible. I think Betty just went extreme. She's just an extreme. She went far with it. Do I have time to tell just one little quickie?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. This story comes from Alissa.
From me?
Not you.
Oh.
No, not you. Sorry. It's spelled differently. There's a Y in this one.
Was I abducted by aliens as my brain erased? And did I write you a note right in that time between?
Dear Britt, SOS. Alissa says, my great-grandmother told me quite a few stories of the house she lived in for several years that was haunted. She is definitely not one to make up or exaggerate stories, so I wholeheartedly believe her. She was a single mom living with her children and 2 dogs. Her dogs never barked, and they were very quiet and well-behaved. At the time, her aunt and her youngest son were very close. I forget how it happened, but her aunt, I think I said aunt, and now I'm saying aunt, but the aunt ends up passing away. One night after her kids were asleep, she was watching TV, and her dogs start growling and had their hackles raised and were staring at the hallway. She gets up and looks and sees this black ball shadow in the middle of the hallway. As she's watching, it moves into her youngest son's room and she follows it. She sees it hovering over her son and she's scared. She steps into the room and it disappears. Her son half wakes up and says, "Bye, Auntie," before going back to sleep. her great-grandmother said that even before her aunt had passed away, that they had had random things happen in that house and experienced weird things throughout the 15 years they lived there. Things like hearing the shelf in the hall collapse and making a huge racket with everything falling. But when they would open the closet door, everything was fine and nothing had moved. So this house had some energy.
Ooh, I don't like that idea of hearing a big racket and then not having an explanation for it. But also on the flip side of that, I don't mind like not having a mess to clean up.
That's where I would go. I'd be like, thank God. Like, because I am envisioning that where some, when a shelf falls or something and you're like, oh God, it's going to be awful to clean up. But then opening, oh, okay. No mess.
But what's the ghost doing then? What's the point?
Oh, point, no idea. But I thought that was pretty cool about the auntie, though.
Yes.
Although, pretty creepy, freaky, black, orby way to like show yourself.
I wonder, because we told that story about how someone had a ghost that they used to see and then it faded to black. Like, was everyone forgetting? Ooh. Was they forgetting the auntie? And that's how they showed up as like a black blob as a reminder, think of me. And then maybe they gained a foot or something after that. Just an orb with a foot.
As the memories come in, you're like, oh, cool, you remembered my ear.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I like something like that. Well, those are my stories.
Love
this is good.
Love it.
Was an interesting smorgasbord.
It was for sure a smorgasbord. I've been having a lot of trouble naming these episodes lately because I'm like,
we don't coordinate
don't really
well, do we?
know. I try to tell a couple. This will probably have maybe something with the UFO. I don't know what people are looking for.
It should because and I love that the UFO story came from a listener of the podcast too. That makes me happy.
I can tell you afterwards who it was.
Ooh, yes. No one else will know, but I will.
Yeah, someone else listening out there might be able to put it together. That will be a hint.
If you have a good UFO story or just any old story, you can write into our Skeletales email, our hotbox.
At skeletalespodcast@gmail.com. You can also call into our hotline.
302-689-DEAD, 302-689-3323. We are on all the socials out there. Skeletales Podcast will get you there. You can find our link tree over there where we have our merch shop. And you can also write in your story through social media too. We love those.
Also, please go like, rate, review. Those are very helpful to us. Tell a friend, share the podcast. I have a little exciting news, Britt, and I'm not sure if you noticed it in the hot box, that we are currently number 78 on the, 76 on the top chart rankings for documentary podcasts in Ireland.
Yes.
No clue how that happened.
I love it.
I love it so much. And so I was going to say to maybe we should just do an Irish episode of Irish hauntings and stuff because Ireland,
God,
I think,
I'm writing that down. I love that
full
idea.
of castles, haunted as fuck. Banshees, right? But maybe people from Ireland, please, like, if you're listening, like, tell us your local ghost story or something. I'd love to hear it. I don't know much about Irish lore, even though I am Irish American heritage.
I want to, yes. Yeah. I want to know all about it.
Yes.
Oh, the Irish. I love it.
Yeah.
Hi, Ireland.
Ireland. Which, because we've been on the charts in what was it, Bulgaria? Hungary.
Hungary.
Which, again, one of my, I guess, ancestral homelands, but I don't know a lick of Hungarian. Ireland, you speak English. Kind of. It's kind of English.
Stop. You're going to lose all of our listeners.
We had a guy who's my sister-in-law's brother-in-law. Cousin. No, my brother. It was a distance. Mitch kept calling him his cousin, and it was ridiculous because they were not cousins in the least, like not at all. It's his sister's husband's cousin who is from Ireland. And he stayed with us for a few days. He was into race cars. He had we couldn't understand each other. He had such a thick Irish accent or brogue. It was almost like we were speaking different languages. We both kept having to like slow down because he couldn't understand us. And then Mitch kept calling him his cousin and this is my cousin. And it was just so cringy. It's like you could tell the guy, he did not feel... The feeling wasn't mutual. And it also wasn't fact at all. I don't think Mitch is an ounce of Irish. But no. Anyway, so yes, tell us a story. I know you guys you speak English. You're like OG. We're Americans. We're the fresh. We just butchered.
Oh yeah, we've only been. It's true. Yeah, we're taking a doo-doo on it.
Yeah, exactly. But another idea for Irish fans. Hotline, call into the hotline. Leave us. You don't even have to tell us the whole story. Just talk for a minute.
Oh my God. Can you just call and say, haunt y'all later in an Irish accent?
Yes. Like, oh my God. That'd be so great. That would be so great.
I know there's probably an international fee to call the US. But
yeah, there might be. Maybe you could just send a voice memo too. You could also just do a voice memo, email us a voice memo or something. There are ways.
Perfect.
A little video of yourself. I don't care. You can post a video and just tag us somewhere.
Love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's do it.
Please.
There's one other thing that is pronounced really weird I wanted to tell you about.
Okay. What is that?
Haunt y'all later.
Haunt you later. Good night.
Good night.
Man, these morning ones, I drink too much coffee. I'm like way too spazzy. And I'm so thirsty. So I kept just like pounding my coffee. I'm thirsty and I'm caffeinated.